Fuck. All my windows are just janky open.
I'm gonna wait for you to figure that out.
Hello, Internet.
Hi,
How
Internet.
are you today, Internet?
Welcome to an extra sweaty episode of Outrage Factory. Probably gonna be low energy too. I'm just putting it out there.
Don't worry. I'll make up for it. I got some Red Bull. I definitely needed it today because right before this, I was like, whoo, it's hot. It just sucks the energy right out of you.
It does. Like, I don't know how people live in places where it is like this. Like, I guess they would have AC and be able to function like normal human beings, but I've just been like, yesterday I had three showers before noon, like three cold showers.
So how's that OnlyFans page going?
It's going well. I mean, $20. And just like fucking exhausted. All the like heat is so tiring.
I think what it is you get used to it. But since also, I just want to point out, I want every fucking crybaby who not tweeting about the heat because that's normal. It's fucking ridiculously hot. We're breaking records. Feel free to whine about that. Who I want an apology from is everybody who made the January tweets at the beginning of the month. They're like, it's so cold. January strikes again. And now look what you did. I mean, you cursed it.
This is typical of Vancouver is people just fucking complain. It doesn't matter what the weather is. It can be like, it's like living in Vancouver has made me softer than baby shit because I can handle like 16 to 22 degrees and like a clear or partly cloudy day, and anything outside of that feels like extreme weather to me. Like we'll go places and it'll be like, 25, 26 degrees. And I'll be like, holy fuck, this is too hot. I'm dying. And meanwhile, today it's like 40. We're breaking 100 degrees Fahrenheit for our American listeners in a city that, for whatever fucking reason, because we're in the Pacific Northwest, nobody has air conditioning in their residences.
Like you live in a brand new apartment building, like 3 years old, don't you? And it doesn't have AC?
I think it's like 5 years old, but there's no AC here, which is just fucking ridiculous because you would think we've been aware that like climate change is happening for a while. And I think that like if you want to build a building that people are going to live in after the ice caps melt, and it just feels like this every day year round in Vancouver, you would probably want to put some fucking air conditioning in.
Dude, do you want to hear some terrible news? Conspiracy terrible news?
You bet I do.
Okay, it's not that terrible, but like how hot it is, and supposedly like those people who talk about like global warming or whatever not being as bad as it is because it's the earth warming up. Apparently it's supposed to just get hotter because there was a mini ice age that ended in the 1900s, but before that mini ice age, it was hotter than it is now. And they're saying like, I didn't look into it because it's a lot of research, but what they're saying is as the glaciers are melting now, they're finding old forests and old international trade routes and shit. So at one point the earth was hotter than it was now, and then it just got that mini ice age and cooled down. So this could be how it is forever now, even if we all drive electric cars.
Yeah, like I think we keep hearing scientists being like, well, we're getting close to the tipping point and the point of which there is no return because, after enough of this shit melts, there's just no going back. And it will accelerate how fast the earth heats up because it absorbs an enormous amount of heat right now and has this cooling power. And basically like, I read a very alarming book that is basically like it's fucking done. Like if you go to Greenland or you go anywhere in the Arctic or Antarctica, you can see the melt that is happening, and they're just like it's worse every year than before, and we're fucked at this point.
Yeah, but it's funny that you brought up Greenland because that same podcast I was listening to that is probably super factually incorrect, but I just want to believe it because it's fun. They were saying that Vikings had once landed on Greenland and had a colony there, like when the earth was warmer, like I was talking about. So Like all these scientists going to Greenland and being like, all this shit is melting. It's crazy. And it's like, yeah, it used to be melted. But I have some good news about global warming. The more the ice caps melt, the less likely we are to have crust displacement. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
So what happens is, you know how the Earth's spinning, right? That's my Earth spinning gesture.
What?
If the Earth's spinning, like it spins on an axis, right?
Like the flat plane that is the Earth, like just rotates like a record.
like a frisbee. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretend this is round. So it's turning like this, but it's on an angle because of the axis. And so the centrifugal force, actually it'd be more correct like this. So the centrifugal force bulges out the middle, like just the spinning. And then the ice caps, since they're away from the sun, they get frozen. So there's like ice up on top and bottom, like the North Pole and South Pole. But as more ice gathers there, there's more mass there and it gets heavy. And every once in a while, like say every couple 100,000 years or whatever, the weight of the ice gets caught in the centrifugal force and the Earth's crust just goes boink, because the mantle of the Earth is separate from the inside of the Earth.
Yeah.
So sometimes.
So what happens when that happens? Like mass earthquakes or
fucking the biblical floods and shit.
Oh, okay.
Like one of the and that so anyways, because North America used to have like a 2-mile ice sheet on it, and then it just all fucking melted in like 100 years and nobody knows why. But that's one of the theories, is how it happened was it slipped down and then just melted because it was in the sun more. So, and another thing is they're thinking that Atlantis might be under Antarctica, because when the crust slipped down, like when North America slipped down to where it is now, then what was on the opposite side of the globe went up, and then ice caps formed on that. So Antarctica didn't sink into the ocean. It just got covered in ice. Is it too hot for conspiracy theories? Because you're not showing your usual enthusiasm for this.
Well, now I'm, it checks out. I'm too fucking hot.
I don't have the patience to argue this. Yeah, it's hot. It's a little warm. It's a little. Oh, we didn't even talk about why Patrick's not here yet.
Oh yeah, we're going to be joined by a longtime friend of the pod, Patrick Johnston, who was going to join us to talk about his experience testing positive for COVID recently, after he had received one shot of the vaccine. He's not entirely sure, I think, how he got it. Hey, I have pineapple bubbly in my house too.
Oh, nice. Bubbly.
Bubbly brothers.
It's nice and hot because it's so hot out. Sorry for interrupting you.
Well, technically,
please carry on.
Myself.
Yeah, that's true.
You just took a drink.
I'm just a pure angel who never interrupts anybody.
But what happened is their daughter Molly also ended up testing positive for COVID and has now joined Patrick in isolation, which is very heartbreaking. So thoughts go out to that family. Hope that Patrick and Molly have a speedy recovery.
We told him we didn't want his 4-year-old interrupting the sanctity of this podcast, so maybe he should sit this one out. We broke up with him. He didn't break up with us.
I would have still taken him.
Yeah, I'm just joking. Yeah, he can't. Obviously, you got to look after a sick 4-year-old. That is way more important than talking about crust displacement and people whining about how hot it is in Vancouver. Not much more important. It just edges it out.
But we will have Pat on the podcast at a later date, maybe to talk about, because I think he is the first person I know personally who's had like symptomatic COVID. He's
the first person I know who's had COVID with one vax. My cousin had COVID. I probably know someone else who I forgot about. So sorry for not giving you your social media boost on this podcast. But yeah, he's definitely the first person I know of that got one single vax, and this late in the game. Like, he's one of 72 people who got it in all of BC the day he got it.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
and I made a comment to Kate a while ago. I along the lines of like, could you imagine making it this far, like making it through the entire fucking pandemic and getting to a point where like, okay, everyone's getting vaccinated, cases are disappearing, we're at the end of this thing, and then you get it, and
oh
that's
my God.
exactly what happened.
Yeah, let's pile on Pat right now. He's not here to defend himself.
Yeah,
but
fuck
yeah,
you, Pat.
no, that would suck. It's like those guys. Well, it's a terrible thing, but like in World War II, like 2 hours before the armistice was signed, there was a last push and like a couple hundred soldiers died. It's like you made it all the way through, and right at the end, I mean, this better be the fucking end. Last week we said it was over and fuckboy summer had started, but look what happened. Pat got COVID and canceled it. Now it's just sweat boy summer. I mean, it's not all Pat's fault. There's 71 other people who got it that day, so we'll blame them.
I'm also going to say it's not Pat's fault that he got. Like, Pat, by and large, was a guy who was like very concerned about like following the rules and making sure he like did everything he was supposed to and stayed safe. And even like to the end, like I think he said he went out and had like one dinner inside a restaurant, and that is where he is thinking he contracted it. So yeah, I don't know if there's much else to say about it. We look forward to hearing about Pat's experience, and Pat, we hope you and Molly are okay.
I can easily say Pat is our most responsible friend in all aspects of life, so this is surprising, and it's very hard not to dunk on him being one of the more irresponsible friends in my extended social group. And how I've been going to work every day and I haven't like quarantined or locked down at all, and I somehow dodged the bullet. Did they test for the variant? Do you know? I was gonna ask him this, but do they? Because I know for a while they're like, we're not testing for variants right now. We're just testing to see if people get it.
I don't know. I mean, I gotta assume. Didn't they say that like the majority of the cases in Canada now were some kind of variant?
The Delta variant, the Indian variant. I don't know why we can't. So you and me were talking about this. I don't know if we were talking about it on the podcast, but the Indian variant is the first one that they gave like a semi-sciencey name by calling it the Delta variant. Did they retroactively call the South of African and Brazilian one? Are those the Alpha Beta Kappa?
Charlie Kilo?
Oh.
No,
wait, is Delta, is that Greek or is that like American military call signs? Like,
no, they're using the Greek alphabet for it.
Okay.
I just don't know what C is. Isn't K? K is Kappa.
Oh, I thought C was Kappa.
I could be. I've been wrong.
Is it one of those things where the C sounds like an S and it's Sigma?
No,
it's Alpha Beta Kappa. Because Alpha Beta Kappa Delta. Enigma?
Oh, it is Kappa.
Hey, Dale knows stuff.
We have so that's the variant on the rise right now, and we have the vaccine that is absolutely dog shit against this variant, which is cool.
No, I thought this the AstraZeneca was good against the Delta variant. I don't know much.
AstraZeneca is not particularly good against any of the variants. It's good in that you probably won't die, but I think
that's a win
for a fucking vaccine. I think we're only like 40% protected against severe symptoms of the Delta variant. So if you're not only not protected from getting it with AstraZeneca, you also have a 2 in 3 chance of developing serious symptoms.
I don't know about that, but I'm not going to make the podcast sit through me Googling stuff. So I'll just take it for your word.
Yeah.
I'm also going to say I'm not getting another vaccine. I already got one. I only got it so people would stop bugging me about getting the vaccine. So I got one. Shut up. I'm not getting another one. So I guess I'm like one of the world's first vaxxed anti-vaxxers. Because it's like, I got your vaccine. Now you could just hit the bricks with all this vaccine talk because there's no more getting any more.
I'll get other vaccines.
Are you? Which one are you going to get? The booster?
Yeah, whatever it is, because we got the shitty fucking. Unless this like thing actually dies off and people stop transmitting it, then I probably won't bother. But
only shitty against one of the 4 variants. So basically, there's OG straight out of China COVID, and then there's 4 variants on top of that. So there's technically 5 different forms of COVID, and it's weak against the COVID du jour. So I'll take my chances because it's supposed to be good against the other 4, and maybe, I don't know. Also, we're still like everybody who's vaccinated, they're like, oh, now that the Delta variant's here, you have to wear masks again. So we're just doing it all over again. We're going back into the loop.
I'm excited. I'm going to America in 5 days, 4 days, 5 days.
Some quick math there, Derek.
4 days. I'm like, what's the date today?
It's too hot to count.
Anyway, I'm going to America, and I'm excited to because everyone there has basically just gone full maskless, life back to normal. So I am looking forward to the experience of being just walking into a store without having to worry about putting a mask on first.
Yeah, you know where else you could do that? You could just go to Alberta. Edmonton voted on July 1st. They're going full maskless. Calgary was, last time I saw Calgary was going to vote on it. I don't know did you see anything about that?
No.
Ah, shit.
They're voting?
Yeah, city council's voting if they're going to do the mask mandate or not.
So you meant they were having a fucking public referendum or something.
You can't
Jesus.
let Albertans vote on stuff like that. They'll just be like, none of us want to do it. We don't care.
Yeah.
Because as much as we dunk on Albertans, I love their just fuck it, we'll figure it out attitude.
I mean, which is fine, especially with this shit, because you look at we still have mask mandates in place, but you can go into a restaurant, and sit indoors.
That's what Pat did, didn't he?
Yeah, you sit indoors without a mask on. Yeah, with tons of random strangers.
Yeah.
You can have gatherings of up to 50 people or something?
Yes.
Or is that just outdoors?
It's up to 50 or 10% of the seating of the place, whichever's less. So if you have a place that can only seat 400 people normally, without any restrictions, then you can only have up to 40 people in that space. Because one of the things they finally figured out after about, I guess, a year and a half was that somehow the the virus acts sort of like a liquid. So it's the more people that are in a more confined space, the easier it is to get. So it's even if you just start opening windows, I guess the COVID just spills outside and it's harder to get. So it's imagine you're in a cube and it's filling with water. The more you talk moistly, that's COVID. So that's why you don't get it outside and you only get it indoors. And that's why you can only have 10% of a place. Is this too much science for one podcast, Eric?
No, some of that seemed factually incorrect, but I'm not going to bother.
I do know that some of it seems wrong, but you don't know because nobody could fucking put everything together finally and be like, this is what we know.
I mean, I think even at this point, if COVID makes a resurgence, people, even the most cautious Canadians I know, are just going to be like, fuck it. Let it take me. Where I'm not doing this shit for another year.
Jesus, take the wheel. I don't got another year and a half of my life to give up to this. Sorry, I just wanted to hop in real quick. Calgary's mask bylaw is staying until at least July 5th. Oh, wait, that was 5. Fuck. Goddamn news. Hold on. That's not.
So that's
that was what, 5 days ago. That might not be right. All these news are from 5 days ago. So I guess, let's just go with that. If I'm wrong, the one listener from Calgary will have something to bitch to me about, my older brother Neil, as opposed to whatever else he finds that I said wrong.
I mean, even if they do, it was July 5th at the latest, right? Like they could potentially be going mask free before then.
Yeah, and Nanny State, BC will probably be till next year before we're maskless.
Yeah, but my whole fucking point is that if we're allowing people to congregate indoors, it doesn't matter if they're wearing masks or not. Like it just like there's no fucking. I mean, it matters if they're wearing masks, but if we're allowing them to do it maskless anywhere, let's go to the world where wearing masks is now a personal choice. And if you want to wear a mask, great, that's awesome. You do that. And if you don't want to wear a mask, cool. Don't do that either. And everyone can, respect each other's different opinions on this and get along.
Just choose which stage of the pandemic Fauci you want to listen to, whether it's at the beginning when he said don't wear a mask or the end when he said it does. And because if masks actually help, then it should help wearing it, because one of the things they were saying was it stops droplets from leaving people's mouths. But by that thought, then just wearing it will stop droplets from going in your mouth. So you won't be like swallowing other people's spit.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to backtrack a bit to get on perfect segue. Remember when we were talking about how Pat teased us by saying he was going to come on the podcast? Are we done talking about COVID before we move on?
That I didn't even, was it on the, didn't we have more stuff to talk about?
Yeah, we have more stuff to talk about.
Okay.
But are we done talking about COVID?
Sure.
I mean, do you have it? Do you have anything else? We should do this where I drink Red Bull and you don't. Because this,
I mean, I'm crushing this giant.
This back and forth.
Giant cold brew.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have to say about the virus.
Because I wanted to set up my beautiful segue, but I didn't want to step on any further COVID facts that you
go for it, bro.
Okay, remember when we said Pat teased us by saying he was coming on the podcast and he didn't?
Yes.
Do you know who else fucking edged us pretty hard? The U.S. government. Why? Disclosure was a big fucking nothing burger. Remember, for 6 months, we were talking about how the U.S. government had until June to tell us everything they know about UFOs. It was something I think Trump even made. It was back then. And they were like, oh, goody, we're going to find out what they know about UFOs. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we don't know what they are. They're all still unidentified. And it's thanks, U.S. government, for nothing.
Do you think that was really them releasing everything they know about it? I don't think so.
Do you want me to tell you what I really think?
Is this
what Conspiracy Dale really thinks?
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Honestly, I thought that this was going to be a setup to either Project Bluebeam, which is something I'd mentioned, which is basically Project Bluebeam is this thing that's going around in the conspiracy theory circles where it's it's going to be the end all be all false flag that they use to ramp up the military because they're going to oh, dude, it gets so good. So what they think they're going to do is they're going to fake aliens and Elon Musk's what is that, Starlink, all his internet things, you know how he launched all 160 satellites to give the world internet. They were saying that those were just holographic projectors to project aliens coming into our atmosphere and shit, and then they were going to use that as a false flag to ramp up the military and shit. That was one thing that I thought maybe they're going to use it for. And the other one was to use it as some sort of jumping point to get into a trade war with China for natural resources that are extraplanetary, either if it's the lithium from the moon, because China's been on the backside of the moon for the last couple of years, building a base and shit. Or they're because there was this weird thing with the states where they said if we want to claim this was when Trump, at the end of Trump's thing, where it was he passed something where it was if the states want to claim an asteroid, nobody can contend them on that. So I thought maybe this was the last link in that, where they would just build up Space Force enough that they could just go to space and get material off the asteroids. But I think what happened was with all this COVID shit and how much like the economies around the world are just fucked. They're like, all right, we can't milk this stone for arms and bombs enough anymore. So we're just going to scuttlebutt this whole UFO disclosure thing and move on. How's that?
Wait, so what's the intent of the conspiracy, the false flag?
To get, I don't know. This is the problem with conspiracy theories. They're like, it's all the government working together to do this thing. And then you're like, well, why would they do that? Like,
that's what I've noticed. Is like every conspiracy theory will fall apart when you're like, what's the reasoning behind this? Yeah. Like even the COVID, they're like, oh, they want people in their homes and subservient and locked down forever. And you're like, why would a government want its people not out spending money or enjoying life? Like, yeah. what's the purpose behind
it's like
that?
All the Bill Gates like conspiracy theories. They're like, he wants to do all this. It's like, why? That guy was the richest man in the world and then just started like vaccinating teenage girls in Africa against HPV at a huge cost against himself because he just wants to make the world better. Why would he all of a sudden turn around and be like, I need people to have 5G inside them so I can have more money?
Yeah.
It's like he already has all the money he's ever going to need. Why would he want more? And then it's like, and then they're like, well, it just turns into a spiritual battle. And you're like, okay. So now just fucking conspiracy theories are the religious right. Cool.
I ran away from those. They always kind of were. They always kind of were a little bit.
I mean, I have the same standpoint as I did when I was forced to go to church. I will believe in God, I will believe in demons, and I will join the fight against demons once I get a sweet demon-killing sword from either Jesus or God. I'm not picky, I'll take either. And a dragon steed, because if I'm going to fight dragons and basically bad vibes or whatever they renounce them to in the Bible, then I want a dragon to ride. And then I will fight forever. For the rest of my eternity. And you know what? I'm reading the Bible. It's not looking like I'm going to get a dragon steed. There's nothing in there about that. I mean,
never say never, man.
There's a talking donkey in one part. I mean, it's not a dragon, but a talking donkey is pretty great.
Yeah, you know what else had a talking donkey? Shrek. Better than the Bible.
Oh, and better dragons.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you think I'm going to fight demons by getting a talking donkey that fucks dragons? That's my favorite part about Shrek is they're like, everybody's like,
the interspecies,
like Disney's like, yeah, Disney's like, oh, we've got like Sleeping Beauty. And then Shrek's like, well, we could get the fairy tales. Let's get all these old fairy tales. And then let's like make the ogre marry a princess. That's cool. And then they're like, let's get like the gingerbread man and all this stuff. And then they're like, let's get a donkey. And then, but then they beat a dragon and they're like, oh, how are they going to beat the dragon? They're like, how about the donkey fucks dragon? And you're like, okay. And they did it. So DreamWorks, tip of the old cap for going way into the bizarre.
Did you have anything else to say about the aliens not really being?
I don't know. One of my favorite things to do is when people make fun of UFOs, I say, actually, we call them UAPs now. They're unidentified aerial phenomenon, so that they don't only include objects. They also include lights and spirit craft, I guess. I don't know. They
people seeing spirit craft in the sky often.
Mm-hmm.
Big ghosts.
I can tell you this, Derek. They see spirit craft in the sky just as much as they see spirits on the ground.
Well, okay, so why does the phenomenon have to be aerial? Why can't we just have some blanket term that encompasses ghosts, witches, warlocks, dwarves,
like paranormal
aliens? Yeah, like something like that.
I think so. Like there's
demons.
Yeah,
demons,
dragons, like all that stuff.
Unicorns.
Like, yeah, like just that encapsulates everything. Yeah, they should. I think it's just paranormal, just like more than normal, which doesn't seem like
normal.
Extra normal, unidentified objects, just UOs. How about that? Or I guess they could be like, well, instead of like saying extraterrestrials, I could just say terrestrials. I don't know. I think they just call all that stuff paranormal, don't they? Or is that just strictly ghosts and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know if aliens are included under our
Time to hit the Googles there, Derek.
Paranormal.
Yeah.
I actually think it's gotten 10 degrees hotter in my apartment since we started podcasting. Like I'm just
it's all that hot air you're blowing out your mouth. I would say it's gotten hotter here, but I was sweaty before we started, so I don't know. Oh, I just wanted to show off this sweet tank top I'm wearing. It's from the official line of swag. It's dirty too, apparently.
Folks, if you want to sweat less and look stylish doing it, please pick up one of our custom Outrage Factory tank tops. They make excellent gifts.
And don't wear it to eat right before you do the podcast and get it dirty and not realize until you're trying to show it off to everybody and brag about a design you made, because then everybody will just remember the stain that was on your shirt.
Yeah.
And they won't remember how badass it looked, because people are jerks. Is Noah bugging you because it's so hot?
No, he came and he had written "end the podcast soon" on his phone and then held it up so I could read it. But sorry, Noah, we ain't doing it.
We're only 30 minutes in.
Yeah, he's like, I've been listening, and this isn't your best work. Let me tell you.
He knows how hot it is, right?
Very low energy. Yeah, he's aware.
See, the one good thing about it being this hot is we have an excuse for subpar podcasts. I don't know. I love this podcast. I've already talked about Crust Displacement Theory, Atlantis, Aliens, Project Bluebeam. I'm just, while you're not paying attention, I'm just cramming all my favorite conspiracy stuff in there.
Yeah, keep cramming. You know, well, I'm sedated. Just jam me up.
Do you want to we should talk about some other stuff. I'm just looking at the list of stuff we have to talk about and see if there's anything we can just dovetail into without it being giving people whiplash.
Well, we could talk about the I wanted to talk about the Derek Chauvin thing and
definitely.
The fucking priest who had to after running his goddamn idiot mouth.
Yeah, that fucking loser. What do you want to talk about first?
I don't know. Pick your favorite.
Well, since we're into conspiracies, let's talk about the church. Oh, this is one thing I want to say. Everybody's always talking about, conspiracies aren't real. People aren't trying to like hide everything. And it's like, it sucks and it's terrible, but we have the best example, not the best example. Like we have an example of this right now, and that's the church conspiring to hide the truth from everyone else about all the fucking tragedies that happened in these residential schools. Conspiracies aren't always about aliens and shit. Conspiracies are just people conspiring against the public to hide the truth or financial gain about stuff.
Yeah, you could tell me the church did anything right now and I would absolutely fucking believe you. Like there's, we look at the church's complicity in like covering up sexual abuse, like repeatedly, their involvement in residential schools, their involvement in Jesus Christ. There's so fucking much the shady
orphanages in Ireland and all this shit
that the church has been involved in. And I do not doubt for a second that there will be more to come. It's been mind-blowing watching white Canadians who, for whatever fucking reason, have spent their entire adult lives believing that America was the country that like came in and colonized the indigenous people and mistreated them. And in Canada, we came in and we walked arm in arm with the indigenous people through our history, and we were, mutually supportive. It's like, you fucking like look at how we still treat indigenous people to this day. and how we sequester them and like keep them on reservations and treat them the way we do. And it's like how I'm just confused as to why. It's basically like white Canadians right now are the NFL after that video of Ray Rice punching his wife in the head and knocking her unconscious in an elevator came out. In that they knew all about it, and it took that video being released to get to a point where they had to admit that they knew about it. And trying to like act all surprised at how bad it was. It is that's basically like white Canadians right now are being like,
yeah, exactly.
How
and they're
could
like,
we've known it was this bad?
And they're trying to explain it away and stuff. It's like, dude, just fucking search all of the grounds. Let's just get it all out in the open, and then
for real, like, figure it out. Find out how many people were affected. Hold somebody fucking accountable. Like this dipshit in
Toronto.
And you know what? It's funny because somebody posted that like Spider-Man's pointing at each other meme. And it was basically like the Canadian government and the Catholic Church are both trying to like pass the buck and say each other is, they're both fucking responsible. Hold them both accountable for it. But some priest in Toronto basically came out and I don't know, Dale, do you have the quote there?
It was a video. He was, what was he? I want to find, like, he said something to the effect of people aren't talking about the good that was done in these residential schools, but I want to find the exact quote just so it says, because it was a video that has been deleted. Okay, it says, here's like the quote from the news story on cbc.ca. 2/3 of the this is the pastor talking. Oh, I'll give you his name. Monsignor Owen Keenan. This is what he said. 2/3 of the country is blaming the church, which we love, for the tragedies that occurred there. He's referencing the schools, obviously. He said on a video that was posted to the church YouTube page, but was later deleted. I presume the same number would thank the church for good done in these schools. But of course, that question was never asked, and we are not allowed to even say that good was done there. I wait to see what comes to my inbox. What this guy's so like, what do you think people were trying to do for the last like 100 years at these school we're in? Like all they were doing was trying to talk about the good that they somehow managed to do amongst all the bad. Like, I hate when people are like, oh, nobody ever talks about the good that we might have done. It's like, that's all you've been trying to talk about and lie about for the last fucking 60 years. Oh, it's just obnoxious.
Also, it's a little tone deaf, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're digging up mass graves of fucking dead children. And why doesn't anyone want to focus on the positive of that? You fucking idiot.
Yeah, you couldn't have said this at a worse fucking time. But of course, that's why he said it right now.
So he got shit canned, right?
He resigned of his own free will.
Okay.
How do you even get fired from the church? Do they like detouch you with the grace of God?
No, they're basically like very similar to cops. I don't think they'll fire anyone for anything. They'll just close ranks and defend their own till the end.
Yeah.
To the point where they will say that the people getting upset about thousands of dead Indigenous children are actually the problem. And we should all just shut our mouths and be a little more grateful for the wonderful things the Catholic Church has done for us.
Defund the church.
For 100%, and fucking start making them fucking pay taxes.
No, we can't do that. You know why we can't do that, Derek?
Why?
Because if the churches start paying taxes, think of how much money they would be paying into the government and how much sway that money would have with it. If the churches started paying taxes, the Catholic Church would just be in the ear of every politician being like, look, I give you millions of dollars a year from our taxes. If I close the doors of this church, then you get nothing. So maybe like pass this law this way or something. And then we'd be living in this like fucking super like moralistic, like stupid
type shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we gonna pretend that Catholicism doesn't already have the ear of most major. It might be a little less pronounced. I'd actually be curious to see how many secular politicians in Canada there are.
Yeah.
But definitely in the fucking United States, like there's a large.
Well, the weird thing about the States is that Biden is the first Catholic president since Kennedy, and those are the only two Catholic presidents that they've had. Which, if churches started paying taxes, because the Catholics are the biggest church because of Rome, and like, so basically what would happen is every president would be Catholic because the biggest sect of the Christian religion is Catholic, and they have all that money in Vatican City backing them. So it would basically turn, like, if churches started paying taxes, it would eventually turn into the Holy Roman Empire again, which is just a fucking warrior empire led by the Pope. Like, it wouldn't be overnight. It would be a long time coming, but I don't know. It's like one of those things that it wouldn't be a direct link in causage, but the way stuff changes with the way money flows nowadays, it would be an inevitable ending.
Oh, do you want me to counter that?
If you want.
Well, I mean, there's already religious money flowing into politics through the form of donate. I'm like, if the church is paying taxes, then at least we're getting some sort of like public money out of it versus churches just buying influence directly, and that money going into the fucking re-election campaign of some shit ass politician or some fucking useless lobbying group. Take money from the church and use it to fund fucking definitely things like inquiries into residential schools.
Oh yeah.
But also more so like, yeah, there's just so much that could be done with that money. And I think churches are like, fuck them. They've spent far too long getting rich and powerful through these fucking loopholes that enable them to do so. So
yeah, exactly. Like Mormon churches and stuff, like they don't let non-Mormons go inside these things because they're full of like fucking gold chandeliers and shit. And it's like, if you can afford all that stuff, then maybe you should be paying taxes. Like
maybe you should pay some tax.
What's his fucking name? Joel Osteen? That guy?
Yeah.
Who just builds like fucking stadium-sized churches and stuff. Be like, oh, maybe he does have a couple extra bucks lying around that he could kick up the chain. Or fucking the Church of Scientology, at least. Like, they got religious status, and basically through bribery and fucking blackmail, maybe they should be paying taxes too.
Yeah.
Okay. I changed my mind. Churches should pay taxes.
Thanks, Dale. I knew you'd come around eventually.
We'll just have to have more fucking regulations and shit in place to make sure that the church and state stay separate. Yup.
Cool.
This reminds me of the old days. Like, remember in your old apartment when we used to do this at a picnic table in the or not a picnic table in the living room?
Stupid fucking hot. And we would just be like, we get like 2 episodes a year where it's like this, and we're just too hot to find. So you know what? Fuck you. You get great fucking content. The other 50 weeks a year, you can fucking eat shit if you have a problem.
If you don't like our opinions, then that's your problem, because you're wrong, because our opinions are right, even though we disagree with each other on pretty much everything.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to, I just want to say, shithead fuckface cop Derek Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years for the senseless killing of George Floyd. Dale, what are your thoughts on the
this is good, because the priest, I almost said priest, the judge said itself, because the prosecution was asking for 30, and the defense, I think, was asking for 12, which is okay, hold on. Sorry, I was reading this like a couple days ago, but I forgot what I was saying. So it was like, yeah, prosecution wanted 30 years, and then so state guidelines just prescribe 12 and a half years is basically the minimum you can get for like this crime. And that's because this happened in Massachusetts, right? Or Minnesota?
No, Minnesota.
Okay, yeah. So that state would be the minimum they could give him was 12 and a half years. And then where's the part? The judge had a really good quote about it when he said, shit. What do you think, Derek? What was your while I read on the podcast? What was your
I mean, I think it's
takeaway?
It's good. You know, I'm a white guy, so I can't really speak to whether this is appropriate for the crime. But I will say that it is definitely more than I expected. Even after he was found guilty, I was like, well, some judge is going to step in with like some sweetheart, like time served, or, you know, not even sentence him to necessarily jail time, but put him on like probation or something that would just undercut the progress that everyone felt after he was actually found guilty of it. I don't doubt that he's not going to serve 22 and a half years.
He can get parole after 15, which is still more than the minimum, which is fine.
I think I would honestly be surprised if is like 15 minimum he'll be in there for, or
sorry, what?
I was saying 15, he'll be in there at least 15 years. Like you can't get early parole for good behavior, or because I could see him like, you know, getting out in 5 to 7 years. But I think the most important thing about this isn't necessarily how much time he serves behind bars. It's that every cop in America looks at how this case went and that sentence and says, holy shit, if this could happen to me, maybe I think twice before kneeling on an unarmed black man's neck for 15 minutes while he dies.
Yeah, exactly. So, that 15 years is with good behavior too, by the way. So yeah, no, like I was thinking exactly like you're like, it's like, especially when we have the other other 3 or other 4 officers who were involved. Have they been sentenced yet?
I don't think they've even held their trials yet, have they?
I don't know. But like what you're saying about like other officers who are still working, seeing what happened and seeing what can happen to them. This is good because it's like a good deterrent for their bad behavior. And it'll especially be accentuated when the other 3 guys involved, because they were just like, they weren't even directly involved. They were bystanding, but they didn't step in. So that's why they're getting charged. So if you're an officer and you see something happen and you don't step in, like you're going to be like, oh, fuck, I better step in. Like, even though this guy outranks me. So I think it could have that nice ripple effect on the behavior of all police officers kind of around the state and probably the country, maybe even up here.
Yeah. So the other police officers will be going to trial in, I believe. So I think, again, that'll be another really important precedent.
Sorry, for say that whether again? You glitched when you said when they're going to trial. Just start that sentence over. You said they're going to trial when?
They're going to trial in August, and I think that will be a really important precedent for, again, like, if you are a cop, even if you're not the one getting up to this shit, maybe it will encourage other police officers to intervene when they see things like this going on.
Yeah. Okay. So I found the quote. What the Judge Peter Cahill said was, your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty, is why he's getting, like, that was the reasoning he gave, that he was getting 22 and a half years instead of 12 and a half years. So nice. That's good.
Get him, Judge Peter Cahill.
I probably pronounced that wrong.
Probably.
I just read it phonetically, and if that's wrong, then I'm sorry.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Because I am sweating my actual balls off.
No, I think we can have a short one there. Like, there's nothing else really that needs to be talked about. Oh, just one other thing. I just wanted to pop in and say, did you see this Washington-based CCT company? So a company that works for, I guess they just oversee CCT. They outsourced someone in India to watch the live feed of a store, and every time it looks like someone's stealing, someone will come over the loudspeaker. I think they're doing this in 7-Elevens in Ohio. And anyways, if like, so this guy in India is watching the screen in real time, and then he just talks over the loudspeaker, hey, I see you stealing that, or yells at the people, or even if like the clerks are misbehaving and stuff. So it's like, this is just fucking bonkers because Big Brother's here and it's not the government, it's a privatized business that people are willingly signing up for.
Yeah. I love it personally. Like, can they just, well, what? If you bust someone stealing, you'll just like what, shame them into putting something back?
Yeah.
By calling them out publicly instead of like, you skip that having to like go and get your ass dragged to like some power tripping security guard's office in a back room.
Yeah, that's true.
And if someone's just like, hey, I see you, like, don't do that, then you just put the shit back and carry on with your day. So
yeah, the only problem
I don't like the part where they're constantly watching you.
Yeah, the only problem is this could very much escalate things for the clerk involved, because the guy watching the TV screen is off site. So he could say something to some guy, hey, stop stealing or whatever. And then that person could get spooked or whatever. And it could just like escalate the situation dramatically. But I don't know. To me, I saw this and I was like, Jesus, like, and it's just kind of funny because it's like I said, it's like Big Brother isn't government watching us and policing us. We're just paying to police ourselves because that's easier.
Capitalism, baby.
Yeah, it's easier to pay someone in India, or it's cheaper to pay someone in India to watch a TV screen than to hire a security guard. And I guess that's all I had that I wanted to put out there on this episode. But yeah, it's pretty hot. We can end if you want.
Let's do it. Hey, everyone. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I know Noah for sure wants you to end so you can.
Yeah,
leave.
He's been coming out here every fucking 2
Your
minutes.
Sweatbox apartment. So you guys not doing Sundays with Noah tonight?
No, probably gonna skip that one, I think. Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for this extra sweaty episode of Outrage Factory.
Sweat Boy Summer.
I have been your co-host, Derek Bolin. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at Herder.
I'm your other co-host, dalederuiter. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at SuperDalebot. You could follow the podcast on the Twitter machine at Outragefactorypod. I just started up a new Instagram account, so you don't have to go on shitty TikTok to see our little clips from the episodes. So what happens is I make like 2 or 3 clips of 1 minute jokes from the episode that happened, and then I was putting them up on TikTok. But then I fucking went on TikTok one day and I just got so fucking annoyed with that app and that fucking song Into the Thick of It, and everybody doing their own fucking versions of that goddamn song. And I was like,
what's Into the Thick of It?
That's, I don't know. It's like this song that came out of nowhere. I think it's from like a kid's cartoon where it's like Into the Thick of It. And people are just like, it'd be cool if I sang this song and danced to it. And you're like, this is why everybody hates TikTok. And I couldn't lie to myself. And so TikTok's still there because whatever. But now you can go to Instagram and it's outrage_factory on Instagram to see the clips, or you could just like and subscribe on another spot.
Yeah. Find us wherever you get your social media. Hold on, Dale. I'm pulling up this song so I can listen to it.
Yeah. This is good potting. Should I put it as, I'll put it as oh wait, that might get us. Okay. No, I won't. I'm not going to put it on because it'll get us pulled off YouTube because it's like, something, but if you're watching this on video, Derek's face says it all. It's like, it's not even a good kids cartoon song. It's not even Let It Go quality. It's just terrible.
I'm watching like a supercut of all the.
Yeah. Ask Noah if he knows what it is. Derek, you could do this after the pod. Ask Noah if he knows what Into the Thick of It is. He's a child. He's of TikTok age. Ask him right now. I want the podcast to know if Noah knows what it is.
Hey Noah, what do you know the song Into the Thick of It?
No.
Are you laughing because you do actually know? Yeah, he doesn't know it.
All right. That's good. Don't
Anyway,
let him know it. Don't show
Follow
him.
us on Instagram instead, because
Awesome.
TikTok is just an app for a bunch of fucking people desperate for attention to lip sync the same song 1,000 times over. You what?
I like it.
Cool.
Yeah. People, if they're desperate for attention, should have the decency of at least starting a podcast.
Yeah, at least put the effort into showing up every week. We don't lip sync. Taylor, you okay? You okay,
we
buddy?
make dick and fart jokes. I'm coughing to death. I don't know what happened.
Did you get
I think
COVID
the
too?
bubbly went down the wrong tube.
All right. I'm going to go run my fucking head under some cold water. So until next week.
Stay angry.
And cool.